I'd like to call to order the Historic Preservation Commission regular meeting for Monday, November 7th, 2022 at 5:30 PM. Roll call.
Joe Chappell.
Here.
Nathan Turner.
Here.
Mineka Gibbs.
Here.
Valerie Duncan.
Here.
Daryl Covington. Absent. Aaron Rooney. And Adam Rock.
Here.
All right.
Any public comments? John?
Comments?
Public comments? No? Nobody wants to say we're doing a good job? Thank you, I appreciate that. Please come to the microphone. No, I'm joking. Okay, all right, thank you. Hope everybody looked at the minutes. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
I will make a motion to pass the minutes from the previous meeting.
A second.
Joe Chappell.
Yes.
Nathan Turner.
Yes.
Mineka Gibbs.
Yes.
Valerie Duncan.
Yes.
Aaron Rooney.
Yes.
And Adam Rock.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, next item. Discussion and potential action on a request for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a pop-up shop park on a vacant lot located at 121 East Oklahoma Avenue. Staff report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to go briefly over it. I'm going to let Shonda Rooney, our Economic Development Director there, basically explain and give the presentation. You saw my staff report. I just want to add that staff is supportive of the project and feels it has compatibility with the downtown. So with that, I'll leave it to Shonda. But as always, I always like to say, usually if there's something on our agenda, it means cool stuff is coming to the downtown, so that's never bad.
Nice.
Hello.
Hi.
So yes, I'm sure you have all seen the project and the plan at this point, but it is for 6 structures now to go in the Wanderfolk lot where the fiddle shop previously burned down a few years ago to serve as a retail incubator. So I will answer any questions that you all may have.
Exactly how large are the structures?
So
It
there
doesn't
will,
say.
oh yes, there will be 5 smaller structures that'll serve as general retail. Those are 8 feet by 8 feet. And then there will be 2 larger structures that are the food vendor services that'll be 10 by 14. And then there will be 1 bathroom structure, which is 8 by 16.
Okay.
So yeah, about
Will the
64 square
Would the food
feet to
vendor be a
120.
permanent resident, or would it?
No, it's, permanent in that it's not going to have a concrete foundation.
No, but I mean, would whoever is serving food, will there be struggling for words here?
Designated
Yeah,
restaurant.
is there a designated food service? Will it just be like one restaurant with the same menu all the time?
Oh, I see.
Or is it?
It's gonna operate the same way as our other structures would be. They would sign a lease. Generally, these are going to be startups in the hope that they can grow and become a bigger business. So it may be a bakery. Our first leaser may be a bakery and a smoothie shop. And then if after 6 months to a year they're successful and they wanna grow and move into a downtown building, then they'll move and we will lease it out to someone new. So it'll be changing.
Do you have any idea at this point what they will lease out for? Of course, that's probably subject to change too.
By, like, who will lease it out?
No, how much will they lease out?
We haven't determined that yet, yeah. I'm probably gonna end up forming a committee that, helps me build a lease application,
So
so.
each one of these, buildings will have air and heat?
Yes.
How
We are
will
going
the-
to insulate them and add in mini splits, that way they're temperature controlled for the more extreme weather seasons. Yes.
How long, they were called temporary structures, but how long do you see them being in place?
The lease that we're looking to sign right now, it's not officially signed yet, but what we are currently working on is 5 years with the option to renew. So the hope is that, it's a successful project that can keep going for 10 years, but our initial lease would be for 5 with the option to renew.
No,
Is-
but are you talking about the lease with the client,
The lease with the property owner.
with the property owner? What about with how long will the buildings rent out for?
We haven't worked on the tenant leases yet.
Okay, I've got a question. We've seen the pictures here. Are these what the buildings are gonna look like exactly?
Yes, this is what I would be purchasing.
Well, tell me a little bit more about what you're gonna purchase.
These 8x8 sheds that you see in the photo, they will have those double doors there on the front with the windows on the side.
And they will have a cupola, all of them on top?
Yes.
And they will have the shake shingle?
Yes.
I think the reason for that question is we've had people in the past show us pictures and then they just go, yeah, it's gonna look like that, and then they get something that's completely not.
Yeah.
what
No,
they-
my goal is that they look just like that photo, right there.
Cool. Same
How-
color.
How do you plan to ensure that goal? If, like you said, I'm a little hesitant to look at pictures that come from the internet and be told it'll look kinda like this or something like this, and I'm not comfortable with voting in favor of something like that unless I know, I can tell what I'm voting in favor of, I guess is my point.
Well, in that picture in particular, obviously it wouldn't have the planters that go along the ground because that's not a part of the shed. It's not gonna have a garden around it like that, but it's going to be that shape, that size, those windows, those doors, and that paint color, if that paint color is approved.
Generally, we use the building permitting process to ensure that what is approved here will be put there. These are too small to require building permits, so, there will be some oversight, but obviously not to the extent that we normally have.
What kind of maintenance plan is gonna be in place for this? If
We're-
they're gonna be there 5 years, they're gonna need maintenance. Is the city gonna be responsible for that?
Yes.
Is there a maintenance plan already developed?
Why is that pertinent?
I'm concerned about temporary, as we call it, buildings and.
Yeah, but that would be like asking the other two applicants if they're gonna be able to sustain their business and have a business plan to make sure that the signage you're approving is going to,
Well,
warrant.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you. I don't think it's the same thing, and I think it's.
Yeah, but it's really
a
not the
pertinent question.
HPC's responsibility to say whether or not there's a proper maintenance or business plan in place. We're here to make sure that it's compatible with the district. It's just like with competition, we don't regulate competition. It's to make sure it's compatible with the downtown and our design guidelines.
But the
I
city
still think maintenance is a reasonable question to ask about.
the city maintains parks and public restrooms and the apothecary garden and things like that. It'll be maintained to the same standard.
I think you bring up a good point. Just a recommendation to see something in the, what do we call them, the leases? For whoever the tenant is to, have some sort of standard of upkeep. So it's not a
Duly
burden for the
noted.
city.
Next time somebody comes in for HPC, I'll make sure that we get their lease agreement and they have a plan in place to ensure their business can function or that the building owners are doing maintenance.
I have to do general
And-
maintenance to my building.
The what?
I have to do general maintenance to the outside of.
Yeah, well, now you're gonna be required to.
So, I mean, if you wanna be technical, the look and style of this building is not historic at all in
What's not historic about it?
architectural means.
We have an overlay district that has, for residential, that has historic, it would meet all that. Why is the downtown any different?
It's a commercial area, is it not?
Yeah, but it's also to be compatible. I don't know why it wouldn't be compatible.
Well,
I mean, if you're gonna put a metal shed or a metal addition to one of the buildings downtown, why are you worried about these being non-metal? Technically, metal buildings would be compatible downtown.
I didn't say anything about it being metal. I said.
No, I'm
it's-
just saying that I don't know why it's not
Architecture.
historic.
It's architectural, it's not historic.
Well, I guess that, to me, that doesn't concern me too much, just from my own perspective, because this is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. And
But 5 years is a long time economically. If you think about the last 5 years Guthrie has had,
Again,
That's a
why
large
is this one
difference.
particular project, are we so involved with the economics of it, when every other business downtown, we don't worry about the economic viability of them in a building?
And honestly, if you're thinking
Because
about,
it's an incubator, right? So you're actually
Yeah, but
thinking
HPC
about
doesn't
putting them
determine
there
uses
later.
or economic viability of projects. You're here to determine whether it's compatible with the downtown. If you don't think the architecture is compatible, that's fine. You can vote against it or give suggestions, but as far as an economic model, you're not here for that.
That's interesting because rules say differently.
Really? Okay.
They do.
Apparently I misread them.
Nathan, what's your opinion?
The only question I have, where are you going, and again, we're getting into the weeds here, but, mini splits, I have one on my home.
okay,
Obviously, these are gonna be much smaller than the one that I have, just
Right.
because of the size and such. Will those be on the back wall? Is that your thinking, to hide them from? What I'm thinking is, I can't put a air conditioning unit on the front of the Publishing Museum or whatever.
Right.
So I'm concerned about the aesthetics of
yes.
that.
So the way that the back of the shops line up to the, what is that building there? The building next to
Oh,
the
okay.
lot, the back side of those shops there, that's where the mini splits
Okay,
would
so
go.
that's
And
gonna
then,
go
yes, with the
right up
food
against
vendor
there.
ones, they would go on the alley side. Of
Okay,
course, they
I
wouldn't be
gotcha.
sticking out the front or the side where people can see them easily.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
Just something that, like, I'd like to point out, I mean, this is free money. I mean, this is really a blessing for all of us, and I think everybody wants it to turn out well.
Oh,
So I don't
absolutely.
think there's a disagreement
Absolutely.
there. This is a great opportunity.
Totally agree.
But,
I totally agree. I mean, this is a fantastic project. I don't want anyone to get the idea that I wouldn't support support something like this in Guthrie. My concern is more about the way that it's gonna look when
Yeah.
it's done and how it will function.
yeah,
So I think it's perfectly acceptable for us to ask those questions.
Yeah.
And I think, frankly, I think I would be remiss if I didn't.
yeah. Well, I personally have taken a lot of pride in this project, and I'm going to ensure that it looks nice, that it functions well. I mean, this is kind of my favorite project that I've ever worked on. So I am going to ensure that it's a project that does well for our downtown and looks well. I mean, anything is going to look better than the empty lot that is currently right there with the history that it had, but,
And I'll just add that, when I first saw the Facebook post that said, that we got this grant, and it had a sort of an overhead photo or
Yes.
something, my concern was about the aesthetics of the building. And when I saw these, I was pleased because they do look, they're cute,
yeah,
and it's a pop-up setting.
yes,
And I know that they have these in other communities, historic
Yes.
communities, and I've looked at some of the pictures, and these are pretty much conducive to what I've seen there too.
yes. And we're not trying to rebuild a historic building. We're trying to find a new use for the space.
Or tear one down.
Exactly, exactly. And again, if we had the money to build 6 cute brick Victorian structures, I would love to do that. But I was able to double the funding for this project so that we can make the structures that we did choose extra nice for the people who were leasing them, and even more decorative aspects. I'm sure most of y'all have seen the patio outside of Wanderfolk. We're hoping that it matches the aesthetic there with the same gravel surface, the metal fencing, the trees, flowers, picnic tables, all of that. We want it to be a park setting as well as serving a purpose.
And this also includes a pavilion.
Yes, and the pavilion will match our Victorian
It
downtown
looked like it was
gazebos.
square.
Yes, it's a rectangular one. It won't be a octagonal gazebo.
It'll be like kind of those newer ones that we had like less than a year ago or something?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But it will be the same style as the existing ones at Mineral Wells Park.
Yes, it's gonna be white wood.
Cohesive.
Well, it's personally one of my favorite things I've seen done by the city and the town in the 8 years I've been here. So whatever, that should have no bearing on whether or not we approve it or not, but I think it is. like you said, this is what I was gonna say too. There's no structure that we're preserving here, but they are building something, but these aren't even permanent structures themselves, really.
Right.
You know, I think they look fine from a, like, Victorian side.
Yeah.
They're cute, I'm saying, like, they're.
And I mean, if you guys want a particular paint color or something else, we could do
Just
that.
no yellow and bright pink and.
Noted.
So I do want to go on the record and say that I did fully support this project, and I did write a letter of recommendation for the project to happen. I do support the project. So I think that the pop-up shops are neat, I think they'll be really cool, and I think that it'll be really neat to have downtown. Aesthetically, I was hoping for something better than sheds, that is all.
I think the last note I would just say is just
But you got how
to
much money?
Valerie's point. So,
99,000.
Yeah, 99,000.
to like Valerie's point, just please be aware, we've approved stuff before, and they
Yep.
come with something that's 75% of what they should,
Mhm.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, Rooney,
No.
second.
He can't vote.
He's
Oh.
he's
Frank.
recusing himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to make a second?
Abstaining technically, yes.
There you go.
Recusing means you leave the room.
I'll leave the room.
Well, it's too late now.
But wait, say that.
Who was second?
He first, we have a second?
Yeah,
I'll second.
okay. Joe Chappell,
Yes.
Nathan Turner,
Yes.
Mineka Gibbs,
Abstain.
Valerie Duncan,
I'm conflicted, but I will say yes.
Darrell Covington,
Not here.
I'm sorry, Aaron Rooney, abstain,
Yes.
and Adam Robb.
Yes.
All right, 4-0.
Thank you, Shonda.
Thank you for doing that, by the way.
All right, next agenda, number 5, HPC application 21008. Discussion and potential action on a request for an amendment to a certificate of appropriateness that was issued for the reconstruction of the lower front facade to include new brick, windows, door, and a canopy for a building located at 208 West Oklahoma Avenue. Staff report.
Just as you indicated, this is an amendment to a previously approved project. In June 7th of 2021, the HPC approved a certificate of appropriateness for new brick, windows, doors, canopy. There was that approval provided in your packet. There's also pictures of what it is currently today. Some of the issue that was there was the window sills, as well as the size of the windows, and I think that was primarily it. But with that, I'm just gonna, the applicant is here, he can speak, so I'll let you guys speak with the applicant and we can go from there.
Yeah, please. Just state your name and your address, please.
Max Tempesta, and I live at 14231 Beaver Creek Road in Edmond.
And I'm sorry, I should probably say the amendment is basically to allow what's there today. What physically is there, the pictures I provided you, so I should have clarified that a little bit more.
Any questions?
Yeah. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat.
Sure.
And, when you came with your plan and we approved it, there were several items that were not, you didn't do what you said you were gonna do,
Okay.
like the windowsill. And then the red brick went up, correct? Did you always plan on painting it after the?
As far as the black goes?
Yeah, well, you were gonna put brick veneers,
No,
Not
so,
brick.
and that was actually something that was specifically, I think, approved in the first meeting was the black.
but it was veneer, brick veneers.
Meaning,
Meaning they weren't gonna be
goes up
bricks,
black.
they're gonna be sort of like brick tile-like things that, which I think would have, the issue that I have with the building now, and I don't know what can be corrected about it, is the putty all across the front facade. I mean, if this had been presented to us like this,
Yeah,
like that's what you were gonna do, we wouldn't have approved it.
I think initially maybe that we weren't having to anticipate taking the entire front down and reframing the entire front, because initially when we uncovered it, it was framed incorrectly and it wasn't structurally the way that we would prefer it. And so then we had to move the wall inches back towards the center of the building to frame it correctly, which then meant we had to put up all new brick. I guess the veneer may have been an oversight as far as the interpretation of that. So, the putty, the beam.
And I don't know if that's the right word for what
Yeah, no,
that
it's,
is.
I'm trying to think of the right word, but, stucco
But
or
it's,
something.
it's a major flaw in the building.
What happened was the beam was set in so far that it was gonna be a water issue, and I let my contractor make a real-time decision. You know, we don't have a lot of good options, because you can't brick it the way that the beam was inset to the wall.
So there's a beam behind that?
Yeah, the initial I-beam or the
And it
main
what,
structural
and it's
I-beam.
3 inches further back, is that?
There was, yeah, it was gonna create a water issue where the water was gonna constantly get behind the wall.
But there wasn't really a way to put brick.
You can't brick it
Right,
now.
yeah.
I told, that was my first, I mean, we would have obviously preferred it to be brick. You know, there could have been maybe some pattern or something, but we were limited on options.
And then you were gonna put up a new channel beam,
The channel beam was there.
was there.
It was, but again,
And
the
like you
brick
said,
was set to the front of the beam, and so the brick would have stuck out relatively, and there wasn't a good way to, you can't really brick over the beam, basically.
Yeah. Well, part of the problem that part of the problem I had with the building was that so many of the things that we were presented with didn't come out that way.
I guess that's where I'm confused.
Well, we were gonna have the windowsills at the bottom.
And yes, that's what I'm here to
We were gonna
address.
have brick all across the front of the building, but we don't. And we were gonna have larger windows.
I get, that's okay, so I'm sorry, and I'm confused about that part. Have brick all across the front of the building.
Yeah, well, where it says signage here, instead of putty clear across the top of the building, it was gonna be all brick.
Well, where the putty is where the beam is in the picture.
Right.
So the rest of it is
He's just saying he couldn't do anything about it.
There, yeah, but there is brick
Well,
there.
the
They put brick.
beam is up higher.
No, the beam is, I mean,
Is that
the
not the
only
beam
thing we
here
did,
in
we
this-
had to cover the beam with something because there was gonna be constant water getting in the way that the beam was set underneath the top floor. I mean, and there was basically no good way to leave it exposed. It would have been more of a hazard than it was aesthetically pleasing. I mean, it would have just caused us
Do you plan on
perpetual
leasing this building?
something, yeah, potentially.
I'm just trying to figure out some way to fix that, and I don't know if you probably know about, more about construction than I do. Could there be a faux beam over that stuff all the way across? Could you create a beam where it looked like a beam with the,
Wood
you know, the
trim.
little, I mean, is that even possible?
Like a wood
Because
trim.
it would
They-
greatly improve
trying
the
to think.
front of that building. It wouldn't be a beam, it would just look like there was a beam there.
I think what he's suggesting is a trim piece.
Yeah, it'd be more like a trim piece that covered the whole thing, but you would make it, to make it look like it's
Sure.
a support beam with those circles.
Oh, a support beam or a trim piece?
Well, no, it would look like a support.
Like this.
Kind of like on this, see how that is next, that's just wood they have up there. See, something like that just goes across right there, they just cover it up. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, I mean.
That's what Valerie's saying, that's
just
what I'm
trying to
saying.
figure
It's just
out
a wood
something
piece
to-
that's just,
Yeah, that would happen.
I think that's what he's.
We can probably look at some options. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's what I would have preferred when I showed back up from vacation, but we did not have a lot of great options once we saw how the beam was set into the building. So there are things that we could put over it to make it look better. I mean, there's a lot of options, really. I mean, they have all kinds of, I mean, I don't know, a million options I can think of.
A long sign.
Well, and that's
That's
to
gonna
be-
go underneath.
But and to be honest with you, that was something that I kind of considered to help cover up most of that is when the signage does go up, you know, then it would only be the ends that were partially exposed.
Actually, and I saw it today somewhere, and I didn't take a picture, but I saw someone that had a real long, narrow sign with, and that could,
Well, and I was,
something
and
to
that is
consider.
actually what my idea was gonna be. I mean, depending on who was occupying the building or, you know, what the use was gonna be, it would be great just to have a sign that covers up a majority of that. And then there would only be partially exposed on the sides, which is, I mean, we could fix.
Out of curiosity, what kind of sign you plan on putting up?
Again, it'd be depending on the usage. I don't have any specific ideas, but, you know, depending on who or what they were trying to use it
I'm
for.
just, I guess I'm a visionary. I'm not saying you do this. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Usually when I see European buildings or anybody with the cool black front, they have like those gold letter that pops really. I'm not saying you do that.
I'm open to it.
Yeah, I think this will look great when it's done. That's
Yep.
what I think. Once
So-
the sign goes on there, there's the contrast of the sign, you put stuff on the window. I think it's gonna turn out.
Well, I think even the awning changed the whole thing. I mean, when I saw it
Yeah.
without the awning, I was kind of like, man, you know, it looks unfinished to me. But I think the awning added something, the sign will add even more to it, and hopefully,
Yeah.
What
Complete
material
the-
was used to fill in the beam? Is it just concrete
stucco or
is
something
this-
similar.
Yeah, it's like a masonry, same way you do in bricks, basically like a mason type masonry.
Okay.
wish they had the mold that they used on the sidewalks at Highland Park. Or on the street down
Like a
First
stamp
Street.
would have been
Yeah, like a stamp.
ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Those are the-
I'm not gonna say I don't, you know.
Those skills are just hard to find and they're expensive when you do.
And it's just,
Well,
you know,
and-
it's just one of those deals, I mean, we're here to protect Main Street and.
Sure.
And this is, in the 8 years I've been on here, this is the biggest thing that's happened on Main Street.
I know.
Well,
I've
it
gotten
is.
plenty of phone calls too.
Well, it is, and, you know, on some levels it was really disappointing, just because it's just sort of unfinished and rough looking.
Well, you guys have overcome
Now,
some serious
if you were to take
hurdles.
it and do this number, it looks great under the awning. This,
Yeah. The doors
you
turned
know
out
what, you guys
super
have
nice.
done great.
They did.
It looks awesome.
The doors looks good.
Thank
It
you.
was really bad.
Oh my goodness. Before it was.
What would, give him your suggestion of the windows?
Oh, well, I just had mentioned the other day, and this is, you know, not something I'd force you to do, but, you know, I know personally, I don't want you to have to go to the trouble of replacing the windowsill. However,
I
it was
appreciate
very
that.
disappointing to have been told that that's what was gonna happen, and then it didn't. I know it didn't bother a lot of people that the windows ended up being smaller, but so much of what Main Street buildings are about is that huge window on the bottom. So when the window shrunk, it sort of disappointed me. And then I thought, well, you know, if you added a window box under the windows and put some greenery down there, it would lengthen it. It might make the building look better too. I can't afford you to do that, of course, but that might be something you could think about. And then just trying to come up with, yeah, it'd be great if you could put a piece of trim that covered that thing up.
Yeah, coming up with something that could cover this putty mess.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think about the sign? Because I think,
I mean, a sign is only gonna cover so much of this.
You don't want me to say my,
I think,
I usually do the trim and put the sign below it.
Well,
I think part of the problem is the contrast between the black and the blonde brick on top is so jarring that I think that's a big part of what's bothering people when they look at this building.
I mean, I've gotten
The trim
calls.
piece, the 12-inch trim piece that would mimic what's at the, over the drugstore museum with the little circles in it. You know, if you were to paint something black and gold and kind of work on decreasing that stark contrast between the two,
just a long,
the bottom and the top of the building, I think would go a long way towards accomplishing what you want.
So I was saying too, like, once they put a sign up there, it's gonna divide that color, is what I'm, you know.
we're hopeful.
What's
Yeah,
that?
no, yeah.
So you don't want my suggestion of the window plants, or
yeah,
what's that called?
I made that suggestion, but, you know, I don't know.
What's that called?
A window box?
Just a window box, yeah.
I don't know, you know, that, depending on how it's made.
Nathan, what do you think?
Well, I agree with pretty much the consensus here is to, you know, if we run that lintel or whatever it's called across the top, I think that'll make that difference and draw your eye a little bit differently. And then again, once the sign goes in, you know.
Yeah. Aaron?
Well, you know, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
What are your thoughts, Dan?
Probably already said too much tonight. I think they're all valid points. I mean, part of the problem is what was indicated where, you know, we've probably almost gone too far to come back to. You know, one of the things that I always try, and again, we're not going there, is, you know, this is almost that good example of where when we start looking at buildings and taking one color and trying to make it all one color, we lose a lot of the details in that. And this is probably a good example where if between a different color and some accents, it probably would have looked a lot better. We're starting to get a lot of buildings that just paint one color. And
It wouldn't matter what color it was, if it's got putty all the way across.
no, I agree, but I mean, it just like what was said, if there's a way to, I guess, kind of cover or have the type of accent that is not as, so you don't right away look at it and go, what the heck, in that. So I don't know a good solution. It sounds like the owner is willing to work on something, and, you know, I would be more than happy to work with them to see if we can come up with an alternative that would serve the purpose of it not kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, but not put the owner in a position where he's got a tough road ahead of him.
Yeah.
Well, and I never like to deflect liability, but if you remember when we came here, I had a partner with me, and it was his architect, and when I got to the meeting, I didn't even know it was gonna be black until I was standing in front of you guys. So I was like, black, excuse me, and then they're like, yep, approved.
Well,
And
you know,
so
I remember
we
that
rolled
meeting.
with a lot of what we had, to
You
be
know,
honest with you.
when I came to that meeting, and I brought this picture because this reminded me very much of that building, because it was blonde up top, this is all black at the bottom. But even, like, if you could make a sign that's long and skinny like that, and see these two little gold emblems, that type of thing, but you don't have a tenant yet.
Well, and
I
I
mean-
was really trying to be careful not to add gold without the approval too, because it's
Yeah.
basically all black. So I think that gold signage would look great. I think that a lot of what's in that picture is really just stuff that's put on top of the painted black. So most of it is just accents to what's,
I'll leave this with you.
No, you're exactly right.
I do. I have those from last time. Yeah.
It's the chairs, the awning, but again, the gold.
Yeah, and I
the
thought,
gold
you know,
brings out so much more off the building. So you're not just seeing black and then brick
And
on
I
top,
felt
you're
like
seeing.
maybe, you know, I can be pushy in these meetings a little bit.
I appreciate it. I got thick skin.
And I was gonna say.
And I brought all of these drawings of black buildings in, sort of in support of that black color, because I've seen them in New York, I've seen them in Boston,
Yeah.
older than here, and they look great.
I was just gonna add that in the applicant's defense, he is correct. He was in a situation with the previous that wasn't the best. He was trying to make the best out of it, and without him, we still would have been where we
Well,
were
and that's-
way back, so at
And
least.
that's all we're
yeah,
trying to do
yeah.
too. We just, you
Yeah.
know, if there's any chance that we can make it a little better, we'd really like to.
Sure. I understand.
So if I can, I guess, summarize.
Yes.
You're okay basically with everything the way it is, except maybe work on a solution to the, if you want to say plastering in, so it doesn't
Look
stick
plastic.
out.
So it doesn't look plastered.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to put it, yeah,
I have no way to be, I agree with you,
yeah.
so, I do,
That's good to hear.
genuinely,
Thank you.
genuinely.
Because there's only, I'm on my source on this side of the road too, and all we get is sun
Yeah,
for hours.
yeah.
So when people drive down the road 4 hours, this literally is what they see, that being there. Like,
Trust me, I agree. Yeah, I
but
don't like
this
to
looks-
admit it, but I do agree.
This is look better, way better than what it was,
Yeah.
for sure.
And two, I think, just like all paint.
And when you
know,
get a
my-
tenant in
my-
there, it
My
comes
house, I
alive.
painted it, a real shiny sheen. The paint's gonna fade, it's gonna soften, it's gonna look, flat might have looked a little better than being so shiny, but I think it's gonna, yeah, if you can try to think of a solution for
I
that.
think some just accent, I think the sign will do a lot. We'll try and figure out something for the stucco that is there.
Okay, so just to be clear on what a motion is, or as of now, would it be make a motion to approve this, which is to allow to leave the window sills the way they are? And then in addition to that, that they will present something to the city to cover what we have been calling the putty
Yes, that is correct.
on the bottom, okay?
That's what I have.
That's on the,
Right.
Okay.
I was gonna say, if somebody wants to make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
okay, got a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
okay.
Easy enough.
Thanks for
Yeah,
your work on the
thank
building.
you.
Yeah, of course.
We're sorry you have to put up with this,
No,
but
it's
you
okay.
do.
Thanks, thank you for being in Guthrie and doing that.
Yeah, hold on, real quick on the vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Joe
never
Chapel?
mind, we gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be serious, be serious.
Yeah.
Nathan
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Minecca Gibbs,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Aaron Rooney,
Yes.
and Adam Robb.
Yes.
Okay, now we're good.
Perfect.
Next call's to my contractor. I'm gonna
Right,
have.
right, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Not everyone shows up with these things.
Well, I know better than that.
We appreciate it.
It's easier to show up than it is to not show up in the long run, so, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, let's get this next one out of the way fast.
Yeah, come on, John. get
Johnny.
it.
All right, HPC application 22011, discussion and potential action on a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a new Terra Rose window signage for a building located at 111 East Oklahoma Avenue. Staff report.
We have cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've got them.
You're coming, right? Come by.
Thank you,
More
Mr.
color
Chair.
accurate.
I've
Yeah,
got, I've
she
got,
made those.
I designed those myself, yes.
The-
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna do my staff report, because then hopefully you don't even have to talk.
Oh, no, we wanted to talk.
We want Johnny to talk.
Well, you can tell about the art. I'm telling about the specifics, and you can tell about all the
Go
good
ahead,
stuff,
go
yeah. Anyway, they're looking to have the sign that was submitted, one on each window. The windows are like 70 square foot in size, and the signs that they're gonna have are about 6 square feet in that, so it's well within the 1/3. So staff had no issue with the proposed signage or location, so with that, I'll put it back to the commission.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
I want to hear about your store.
Okay,
Right.
well, our first art show is, the 11th of this week, Friday, and it's gonna have 20 artists, all Oklahoma artists. Everything that we're carrying is Oklahoma,
That's awesome.
artists, and for this first show is a small work show, so that's why there's multiple artists in it. Not all of them are gonna be like that. It's gonna be a rotating show of 3 artists after that. But seasonally, we'll probably do, small work shows.
And when you call yourself an art gallery and a creative space.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it's one big open space, and we have, floating walls. Yes, that's what I'm about to say. And so it's classroom space, basically, that can be used, and we do have a separate classroom in the very back too. So there's 2 spaces we can use as classroom space. And so we're, basically Christmas, we're gonna have pop-up classes on Saturdays for anybody to walk in and do, there's a mommy and me kind of class, art class that's gonna be going on. And, so I have a girl that's doing that, and then eventually an after-school art class is one thing that I really want to focus on. 'Cause I see kids walk by there all the time, so I think that would be good, so.
Johnny, you not gonna do your spook stuff upstairs anymore? Oh.
No, she won't let me.
Oh, my gosh.
No,
I don't know, we'll see about that.
I don't want to. I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
On the one,
Stuff for a couple months.
What was upstairs?
he had
He had the
a
scarecrows.
Nothing else.
Christmas Carol and then his Valentine's one. He had like a spooks, like every season of the year almost, he has like a
Feels
spook.
like theater.
In that building downtown?
Yeah,
I'm so out of that.
Hopefully he'll work to put some apartments up there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the upstairs eventually we'd like to do an Airbnb, because there's apartments, original apartments up there, and my goal eventually is to have an Airbnb that will run most of the year, but when I have artists come from out of town to do art workshops, they have a place to stay,
Oh, that's
so I
cool.
can get big wigs to come to
That would be
Oklahoma
cool.
and fly in. So I did that for Oklahoma Art Association, all those, Edmond Art Association,
Are you from Guthrie?
No, I grew up in North Texas,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Just transplant?
I am. So,
I'm married to Longhorn, I'm sorry.
Shouldn't have said that till
Not
after the
long.
vote.
Yeah, right.
Kansas, Texas. Anyway, but,
Gainesville.
Off the
yeah,
record.
so we're close to the river, so we,
Shonda went to Texas Tech.
yeah.
They think the river.
I love
It's our
Texas,
river.
yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
A second.
Second, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, one more thing. I was gonna paint the awning that same color. Is that gonna be okay? Underneath?
Underneath the awning.
I think.
Is this color on the
It's the same as that one.
Oh.
color, not the pinkish color
Yes,
that
not the-
printed
yeah.
out?
On what part of the
I
awning?
can see the difference.
It's
Underneath.
underneath the awning.
Oh,
We
Yeah.
striped it today.
Underneath it?
Yeah.
Underneath the awning. So
It's
that
this. I was
maroonish
like-
color that's at the top of that green,
mm-hmm.
somewhere between the terracotta.
Oh, you're just
color
painting the
and
outside of this little awning?
Underneath it,
Underneath
Yeah,
it,
that
when you
would-
walk under it.
the rain.
That would look
Yeah.
Well,
better.
we're taking that metal off too, though. You see that metal that's on the front of that awning?
Mm-hmm.
We're taking that off, putting treated lumber and painting that maroon color, so it matches.
That would be nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So kind of like your shirt
And
color?
can lights, can we can lights?
I would say that's good.
Yep. Yeah.
Anytime we can get rid of metal off the front.
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so that included,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on that?
yeah, in a
on it.
second. Joe Chappell,
Yes.
Nathan Turner,
Yes.
Mineka Gibbs,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Aaron Rooney,
Yes.
and Adam Robb.
Yes.
And just real quick, I would like to say that they did a really good job with the building, and again, it is very encouraging when we get more and more people who are putting the time and effort into these buildings and that, so it's
Yeah.
really good to see. Thank
Yeah,
you.
for real.
Yes, it does look awesome. We'll be there Friday.
Yes, and we have snacks.
Yeah, awesome.
Then I'll be there.
Okay, got one more?
Yes, last but not least.
All right, item agenda number 7. HPC application 22-012, discussion and potential action on a request for a certificate of appropriateness for the new First Capital Coins window signage for a building located at 106 South Division Street. Staff report.
Thank you. This is the building that's over there, Boomerang's in it, and this unit was actually where recently Sherry Mueller and her husband were before they moved. And so obviously this gentleman is looking to move in there. He's got a coin collecting business in that. As you saw in the packet, he's looking for window signage on the large windows, as well as some signage on each of the small individual windows.
I just now got it.
The what?
I just now got it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I was thinking, like, this guy's moving upstairs.
Yeah, no.
And the 4 windows.
yep, right there.
And
Instead of Mueller and Wheeler, it'll have
Fire.
First Capital Coins. And none of it is more than a third of the window, so staff had no issue.
So I own the train depot in town, and upstairs, 1887 in the original part in the middle, and I find coins and stuff all the time in the walls and stuff like that. So I need to like
Bring it in.
hook up to, yeah.
Tell you how much you get.
Where did Mueller move?
To Frank Davis's old office.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
They even moved houses.
yep.
Any,
What color was
Questions,
this gonna be, by the
concerns?
way?
I'm sorry.
What color is this?
oh, white.
White,
White.
the windows appear, anyway, from what I'm looking at, they're kind of tinted. I thought about one time a goldish, but I didn't know if it would
Probably
show up
wouldn't show
very
up as
well
well.
because the windows were pretty tinted, so.
It's sort of cool how you've
White.
got those three little windows up top there.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of went with that just to kind of, I didn't know how much the First Capital would actually show up as people were driving by, but I thought some of that might draw attention into it. Already been trying to draw business into Guthrie. Weekend before last, I was out at the Norman Show, and I passed out probably 60, 70 business cards, and told them goal is to be open on the First Victorian Walk Saturday, and I was gonna stay open late. Normally, I won't be open on Saturdays except by appointment only, but told them I'd be up, open late, pass out, hot chocolate that's cold enough, or cookies or something, take donations for the food bank, let them come down. Told the guys, you always have to have an excuse to go to a coin shop, bring your wives, tell them there's a lot of antique stores, and they can walk around and see all the different sites. So, they're interested, so I had about 20 of them said they would be here, so we'll see if they show up.
Good.
Awesome.
I like your script, too.
Yeah, I tried to find something that I thought would blend in.
Yeah, it looks good. It's sort of
Yeah, I was looking at
vintage
different Gothic and stuff, and I think that was actually Algerian.
looking. Oh, really?
Yeah, I was
That's what
trying
they
to really
call that?
hard time getting it in on time, because I have a short window getting in. My last day at my job's gonna be December 2nd, and so then I'm open December 3rd, so I'm gonna have to really be doing a little bit of both ends of it, but I asked him, I think he said Signtex does a lot of signing down here, and I think there's Blair. Wanted to try to find somebody who's local that's used to dealing with municipal society, so we know what they would need to hit on the requirements on that, but try and blend in. I even thought about one time trying to get a curvature kind of on the First Capital coins, because I've seen that in some old-time windows and stuff. But, I'm not tech savvy enough to do that kind of thing, so you got the straight line.
I like it.
Well, it's one of the more rare occasions where the First Capital name works, because a lot of times, like I was gonna do a production company called First Capital Production. It sounds like a bank,
Yeah.
but you have coins on it, so like people know what it is.
Yeah, First Capital Coins, yeah. I've actually had that name since like 2004, and I thought I had paid for it, and when I went in to do the LLC and stuff, found out, well, no, I didn't, and it expired, so I had to go in and reapply again, but I've been setting up at the shows and all the Oklahoma shows. There's about 10 or 12 of them that I go to every year. And I've done that since like 2004, with the exception from 2011 to 2017, when I actually worked for APMEX in downtown Oklahoma City. And there was a conflict of interest, so I had to pack everything up and not sell during that time.
Gotcha.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Nathan?
Thank you.
Joe Chappell?
Yes.
Nathan Turner?
Yep.
Maneka Gibbs?
Yes.
Valerie Duncan?
Yes,
Aaron Rooney?
Yes.
And Adam Robb.
Yes.
All right, 6-0.
All right, number 8, do you have any staff comments?
None.
Commissioner comments? Anybody?
Done.
All right, adjourned.